Welcome to Resume Well. We're exposing the intersection of wellness, woo, and work. We've been told that the antidote to professional burnout is personal wellness, and sometimes that means confronting our inner skeptic and exploring the taboo anyway. This season, we're all about putting our intuition to work at work. Welcome to the second solo episode of Resume. And the reason I'm coming to you today solo is because I was just sitting here thinking about how everyone is gearing up for their end of year 360 reviews and how you might be excited about it or you might be dreading it. Whatever it is for you, they're probably coming up. And if you're excited about it, go do it. Handle that. Get what you deserve. Hear all of the criticism, constructive and maybe not so constructive, and just take it with a grain of salt. Apply what you can when you can. Maybe negotiation is not your cup of tea. Maybe it makes you a little anxious. Maybe it makes you quiver in your boots a little bit. Maybe it just makes you feel useless because it's always a bit of a letdown. Maybe you didn't get the raise or the bonus that you were hoping for, or maybe you did last year and it wasn't as rewarding as it should have been. Like it didn't feel as rewarding as it should have felt. So whatever it is, if you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, another year just went by. I'm still in the same job that I'm relatively ambivalent about. Nothing has really changed. And if you're thinking, is this seriously what I'm doing with the rest of my life? I hear you. So at the risk of sounding like an annoying Instagram post, I'm going to tell you a short story. And I don't mean to sound braggadocious. I was just thinking about this and how we don't celebrate ourselves and how we don't celebrate our own accomplishments because we get so entrenched in the day-to-day. So if you had told me in January of this year, so in January of 2023, that I would, by November 2023, so in 11 months, that I would have a successful podcast where I'm sitting down and talking to people about things that I want to talk about and with people who want to talk to me and who I want to talk to, I would not have believed you. If you had told me that I also had amazing podcast producers who I genuinely feel comfortable with and have entrusted with this passion project, I would not have believed you. If you had told me that I worked with this amazing branding company to come up with Resume and the whole brand concept that I am so confident about and love standing behind and love putting out there, I would definitely not have believed you. If you had told me that I had actual coaching clients that paid me and have entrusted me to guide them through their career issues and then who refer me out to friends and colleagues because they're so happy with their experience with me, I would have been very excited about it. But I don't know if I would have believed you. I would have definitely not believed you if you had told me that I would be leading workshops and seminars on topics that I am excited to talk about and that people are actually signing up for them and that they're excited for them and that they're paying for them. If you had told me that I would be working with a marketing agency to broaden Resume's reach and impact, I definitely wouldn't have believed you. If you had told me that I was excited and happy about integrating with my local community, I would absolutely 100% not have believed you. And I will get into this later. Maybe that's another episode, but I definitely would not have believed you on that one. And if you had told me that I had full yoga classes that I was teaching at a studio 2 seconds from my house that is owned by people I love and who I actually want to work for and with, I would have been very excited, but I don't know if I would have believed you. And lastly, and this is one that I am most proud of, and if you grew up with working parents before work-life balance was ever a talked about issue, this will hit because you know how it feels when your parents miss that kind of like random midday school event, or when you're the last one at aftercare, or when you're like eating dinner at a friend's house because your parents' bosses did not care at that time about their employee and how they have a kid at home waiting for them. So I am most proud that I've created this work situation for myself where I can show up for my kids when they need me, like Halloween parades at school that are insanely cute, but they last so entirely too long. Or just being able to pick my daughter up from school every day and see her sweet little smile when she realizes that I'm there, just like I said I'd be, and I'm there at the time that I said I would be there. I wouldn't have believed you. And again, this isn't a list of bragging rights. This is just a list of lofty goals that I set for myself and achieved despite raging imposter syndrome and having 2 kids under 3 and dealing with attention issues and mitigating some lingering postpartum anxiety. So it's possible. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because you can do it. By this time next year, your life can look entirely different than it does right now. And here's how. So here's like $1,000 worth of coaching for you right now, right here. 1, get a coach. I'm not kidding. So this isn't even like a shameless ad for my own coaching. Just, I don't care what coach you get. Whatever you're struggling, get a coach because they can help you clarify what you need to do to overcome it. So they will help get really crystal clear on specific steps and action plans for you specifically to overcome whatever the block is. 2, answer this question for yourself. Maybe get a piece of paper out and write it down and think about it. If nothing could stop you, what would you achieve? If nothing could stop you, what would you achieve? Okay, so now really get a piece of paper out. If you're driving, come back to this later and follow along or do this in your head. Make a list of all the excuses you have teed up in your head for not going after your goals. That's on one side of the paper. On the other side of the paper, write down if those excuses are coming from a place of fear or a place of love. And if they are coming from a place of fear, cross them out. What is left? So operating from a place of fear is never going to serve you. It will never get you where you want to go. It will only hold you back. So there are excuses that are based in love. Those are actual reasons for not doing something, but let's reframe it. So instead of reasons for not doing something, let's look at them through the lens of reasons to do something, the thing. So here's an example. I can't do XYZ because I have kids. Simply say, I should do XYZ because I have kids. What does that feel like? Seriously, what does that feel like? Does it feel impossible? Or does it feel like, oh, maybe there's some truth to that? Okay, so the next step is to explore what you can do with all those fear-based excuses to turn them into NBDs, no big deals. This is the most important creative problem solving you can do. This is it. So what can you do to turn those fear-based excuses into no big deals? So here's an example. I can't quit my job and start a side hustle and post about it because what if it turns out to be a big failure and everyone sees me fail? And then you can get even more specific and say everyone whose opinions I actually care about, they will see me fail. Okay, this is pretty common. It's no big deal. And I don't mean to sound mean, but they don't care if you fail. They really don't care if you fail. Your failure is like a blip on their radar, if that, because they have their own stuff going on. And if they do care, so what? Like, we all know that there's no success without a lot of failure leading up to that win. There are 1,000 different podcast episodes on this, books written about it. It's not smooth sailing from the get-go for anybody. So if people care that you fail, that's their own situation to deal with. But you, with each failure, you're one step closer to success. Okay, so now looking at those fear-based excuses as no big deals, go back and look at the list of the things that you would achieve if nothing could stop you. How many of those things are suddenly more realistic? Maybe not all of them, but some of them might be. So take advantage of this. Where do you want to be at the end of 2024? Go there. And along the way, stop and check in with yourself and just celebrate your small successes. No matter how small, a success is a success, and we just do not give ourselves enough time and credit while we're going after these goals to celebrate all the little tiny wins along the way. And it's not braggadocious. It's not cockiness. It's just allowing yourself to see yourself as others do. We're our own worst critic, and we rarely look at ourselves the way others do. So just step outside yourself for a second and let yourself do that throughout the rest of the year and into 2024, and think about where you want to be by the end of 2024 and go there. Thanks for listening, guys. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Resume Well, where we explore the intersection of wellness, woo, and work. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends, family, and coworkers. Remember to follow us on Instagram at Courtney Austin Page and on LinkedIn either at Courtney Page or at Resume Recruiting and Development. Join us next week, and in the meantime, resume well in everything you do.